Good afternoon, all, and this video is about my mother. My mother was a refrigerator mother, and, well, this is my mother. It's only fitting that I do this video today because this being Eastern Standard Time and my mother and I living in California at the time, Pacific Standard Time, a half an hour from now is the last time I saw my mom alive 30 years ago. My mom died 30 years ago after committing suicide at around 10 in the morning on July 12th, 1994. And so I want everybody to remember who was my mother. I am autistic by diagnosis. At the University of South Florida, by Dr. Michael Hoffman, M.D., high-functioning autism with splinter savant traits in art and legal abilities with markedly impaired verbal abilities and exceptional visual spatial abilities. This is my mom's high school diploma. Jackson High School in Michigan, the class of 1954. This was in her things after she died. And here are her high school letters that she saved, certificates that she had earned in high school, awards that she had gotten in high school. My daughter may wonder where she got her cheerleading interest from. She got it from my mother, her grandmother, Claire. And this is my mom's high school diploma. In around 2005 or 2006, Simon Baron-Cohen came out with his Assortative Mating Theory of Autism. Who is Simon Baron-Cohen? He is the professor of developmental psychopathology and director of the Autism Research Center at Cambridge University. And here's what he said. He said his new theory is that autism is not just a genetic condition, but it might be the result of two particular types of parents who are both contributing genes. And this might be controversially received. But the genetic theory has a lot of evidence. And what we are now testing is that if two systematizers have a child, this will increase the risk of the child having autism. That's it in a nutshell. A systematizer is somebody whose style of thinking is predominantly in terms of understanding things according to rules or laws. You can think of lots of different kinds of systems: mathematical systems, algebra, computer programs, or mechanical systems, computers or cars, natural systems, weather or rocks, geology, and social systems, business or military. In each case, when you systematize, what you do, you try to understand the system in terms of the laws that govern the system. Systematizing is expressed in behavior, and this is found here. Simon Baron-Cohen had been looking at the rates of engineering in both fathers and grandfathers of children with autism. Engineering is an occupation where you have to be a good systematizer. Baron-Cohen found that fathers of children with autism are overrepresented in the field of engineering, and that exactly the same patterns were in the grandparents too. The new theory is called the Assortative Mating Theory. Both sides of the family are contributing similar genes, so strong systematizing wasn't coming down to just one side of the family. It's called assortative mating because it describes the idea that two individuals might end up in a union because of having similar characteristics. They're selecting each other on the basis of having similar characteristics. And this is Simon Baron-Cohen's paper on systematizing. Although this video is about my mother, it's very important to look at my father as well. Who was my father? In one of my mother's resumes, she stated that my father, Kenneth Gordon Day, had a Bachelor's of Science degree in physics from the University of Michigan and a Master's of Science in math from Michigan State University. He was then employed by IBM to work on computers. Kinds of classes that my father took. Here. This is one of my father's transcripts. Atomic physics, theoretical physics, other math classes. This was from Michigan State University. Father fits square within Simon Baron-Cohen's Systematizer type because he was studying physics and mathematics and the kind of subjects in university that fathers of autistic children were known for. Now, my grandfather on my father's side, his father was an engineer. So you also have an engineer in my grandfather on his side, squarely fitting Simon Baron-Cohen's profile of fathers and grandfathers who are systematizers of an autistic child, who was my mother, Claire Ann Day. Mother's resume listed a Bachelor of Science degree from Michigan State University with a major in mathematics and a minor in physics, and power engineering courses. She also studied at the University of Michigan with a major in electrical engineering, and at Jackson Junior College in Jackson, Michigan with a major in engineering. After my mother got her bachelor's, she got a Master of Arts degree in mathematics education secondary level. She was working at Michigan State University on her Ph.D. in education, her major educational research, cognate medical educational research and development. And so she also has the kind of background profiled in Simon Baron-Cohen's Assortative Mating Parents of Autistic Children. And these are a summary of some of the classes that she took. Jackson Junior College included engineering, mechanics. University of Michigan, all sorts of mathematics courses. Electricity and light. University of Michigan, power systems. Michigan State University, all sorts of more mathematics courses, mathematics for engineers, all sorts of systematizing courses. Her master's degree also had many mathematics courses, physics, electricity and magnetism, and her doctoral courses included digital computers, educational psychology seminar, experiments in education, and all sorts of research design and research. This is my mom's transcript at Jackson Junior College. She was taking Russian language. Maybe that's where artistic savant abilities come from. She was taking mechanics and sketching. And this is her transcript at the University of Michigan here. She was taking German. She was admitted in June 1955, before I was born. And both my parents started out speaking to me in the German language rather than in the English language. This is my mom's transcript from Michigan State University. Awarded her Bachelor of Science degree in 1961. She was taking German and all sorts of mathematics classes here. This is my mom's master's degree transcript at Michigan State University. Modern physics, all sorts of math classes, electrical magnet. She was in the College of Education, and she received her Master's of Arts degree in 1966. My mom was admitted into the doctoral program at Michigan State University. This is the report of the Guidance Committee doctoral program. Her subject was evaluation of students in medical education. She had all sorts of mathematics classes, reading classes, issues in education. She was teaching high school math in Jackson, Michigan, and a teacher of lower college reading improvement. This is it when she was in her doctoral program. My mom was a research fellow from 1966 to 1968, advising Ph.D. candidates on statistical treatment of data and dissertation writing. She received an appointment as special graduate research assistant in the College of Education, Department of Elementary and Special Education. Well, my mom was a director of research. As far as Simon Baron-Cohen's Assortative Mating Theory of systematizers with background of mathematics, sciences, engineering, physics, my parents fit the profile like a glove. They fit the Systematizer Assortative Mating Profile of the type of parents who would have an autistic child. My parents got a marriage license here on September 20th, 1955, and they got married. My parents got married on September 24th, 1955. My mom was already pregnant, carrying me. And so that digression shows that my parents, both my father and my mother, fit Simon Baron-Cohen's Systematizer Assortative Mating results in an autistic child profile to a T. And it's important now, before I dive into my mother was a refrigerator mother, it's important to understand from this digression into my parents' college education, the huge career potential upside they had from going to university, the amount of money they spent, the time, the effort they spent to have professional careers. This is very important because when Brutal Bainelheim crashed the party of parents of autistic children like my parents, he wasn't just singling out illiterate, impoverished, lower ability parents. This is very important to understand. Now, I was born on April 16th, 1956. So, this video is about understanding the environment that my generation of autistic people were born into. The era of Temple Grandin, of older autistic people. The 9 out of 10 autistic people over the age of 50 who still don't have an autism diagnosis. And so we have to understand what was going on in the 1950s and 60s. What was going on? The refrigerator mother theory was a popular but harmful belief in the 1950s and 60s that suggested that mothers of children with autism were emotionally distant and responsible for causing their child's condition. This theory has since been discredited by scientific research. So this was the environment I was born into as an autistic child. And let's look at the effect Bruno Bettelheim's refrigerator mother theory, that was the prevailing theory of the cause of autism at that time, 1950s and 60s. Let's look at the effect it was having on mothers of an autistic child.
One day, I lost it. I called you up and I said, if you don't come home, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah. Actually, you said you were going to kill yourself.
Oh, was that what I said?
Yeah.
Infantile autism is the most severe psychotic disturbance of childhood known to man. And I think that for every child, In order to survive, one must have the feeling that somebody, you are terribly important to somebody.
Somebody cares.
That somebody really cares for you. In the case of these extremely disturbed children, not only nobody cared, but there was a wish that it would be much better if the child wouldn't live.
Bruno Bettelheim was someone who put himself forward as an expert.
Bettelheim did get one thing right, that the autistic child felt like others didn't want us to live, but it wasn't our parents, or at least it wasn't my mother. More, it was every other neurotypical in society, because we were odd and weird and out of sync, and we couldn't be neurotypical no matter what we tried to do. And unfortunately, neurotypicals want autistic kids dead. I mean, maybe not every neurotypical, but it is a sort of sentiment that underlies the way that autistic people are abused our entire lives by so many different neurotypicals, and particularly during teen years and in high school. But what was worse was that my mother had worked so hard for this entire great opportunity to have a career, a professional career. She had done the university work from junior college all the way to a doctoral program, at which point she had to withdraw to take care of me. And the circulating theories of the cause of autism at that time was, well, listen.
The general knowledge out there at that point throughout society was that mothers were responsible for making their children autistic. There was no other view.
In the 1950s and 60s, mothers were blamed for their autistic child. And my mother committed suicide, so 30 years ago. And as mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is 30 years ago over the next couple days. And you really have to wonder if this extreme blame and guilt Bruno Bettelheim planted in the minds of our mothers in the 1950s and 60s kept haunting them and simmering over the decades and came back to trigger their suicide as the ultimate cause. But here's what was going on when I was born and a very young child. And so this is how our parents were being made to feel.
Anybody else to talk to or refer to, and there was no support system at all. You're young and you don't remember that it was the in thing at that moment to blame parental failure that would cause autism.
For a mother in the 1950s and early 1960s who was found out to have an autistic child, it wasn't just that the gold standard treatment of Bruno Bettelheim was to take the child away from the parents because the parent was blamed as the failure that caused autism. They separated parents and their children and put autistic children in institutions. But it didn't stop there. They started looking at the parents as having problems, and well, guilt was the treatment.
That I did, I inspected under, a microscope. I was mired in this guilt, this needing to know what I had done wrong, and with that, the hope that when I discovered what it was, I could make it right. So it was cruel. It was a cruel place to be.
It's important because almost all the videos these days are much younger autistics or autistic adults that are quite a bit younger than I am who are doing videos. But you have to understand what autistics born in the 1950s and 60s parents were going through, what their mothers, what they were thinking and feeling, and what should they do.
Well, I wanted to have it be true so I could change and she'd get well. Don't you see? If it was true, I didn't care what you put on me. If it was true and I changed, she'd get well. That's what I wanted to believe. That if I could turn myself inside out somehow and change and not be this kind of mother who didn't anticipate her child's needs properly or deal with her child in a responsible way, if I could change, she'd get well. I felt so helpless in the face of these diagnoses and the breakup of the marriage that I would do anything to have a feeling of personal power, even take on the most awful guilt, if I could just think that it would lead to something positive.
In that mindset, our parents carried that with them, our mothers. So when autistic people when we are constantly told we're wrong, we're broken, we need to be fixed, what's wrong with us, we're excluded. We don't even get what we work for, no matter how hard we work for it. So when my mother was hearing that I wasn't going to get my bar admission after all that work because I'm autistic, when she was hearing that I can never have my own horse farm, so in her words, I could be a productive citizen, well, she lost all hope that no matter what she did, she was guilty of being a failure as a parent because she was a refrigerator mother and she was guilty. And so she committed suicide on July 12th, 1994 on my father's front lawn. And I came on the scene as she was dying. And this is what It means that we grew up in the age of refrigerator mothers. Their careers would be destroyed if they admitted they had a child with autism. And they carried this guilt that they were to blame with them their entire life. My parents divorced, and this is how it was for older autistic adults who were children, autistic children, in the 1950s and 60s, thanks to Bruno Bettelheim. We now know that Bettelheim's ideas were dangerously wrong. Today, the refrigerator mother theory is routinely cited as a cautionary tale of how deeply one can misunderstand autism. Ultimately, Bettelheim's problem was that he tried to understand autistic behavior from the assumption that the autistic child was deep down entirely normal, i.e. neurotypical. And so this pretty much concludes my video about my refrigerator mother. And so if you like my videos, please subscribe and hit the notification button and ring the bell, and you'll be notified when I put out more future videos. And in the meantime, thank you for watching.